The background, perfect. You're live.
Woo! What? Dude, I just lost it all. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to episode 114 of Pillar Talk. This episode is brought to you by Flashback Antique and Crafts. Today we're going to be sitting down with Michael Wayne Foster. What's up, brother?
Well, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, dude. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a husband, father, and just a really swell guy.
Really swell guy. Huh?
Yeah.
Is that what the wife says, or does she have other things
all the time? No, I guess to sum it all up, I'm from Monroe. I was a high school English teacher at Airport for 9 years. I bounced, went out to Hollywood, chasing the dream, did some stuff out there, and now I'm talking to you guys.
So you chased a dream, and what it said on your IMDb is you really had a passion for teaching.
I did. I absolutely loved it. I did. I mean, I can truly say this. I woke up, like some people wake up and they got to go to work and they're like, man, I got to go. Like, I genuinely woke up like that dude from Jerry Maguire. It was like, you wake up in the morning. Like, I was truly happy to be a teacher.
Right.
My dad was a teacher. My sister's a teacher. So I got it in my blood,
Right. That's great. And so it was a whole family. It was a whole family of teachers, eh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my mom was a nurse, so it worked out for me. Like, whenever I was a kid and got sick, all the other kids had to go to the hospital. I
just went home.
Nurse.
Yeah. Your friends got sick. You're like, dude, just come over and stay the night. You'll be fine when you go home.
Right. And now I'm married a doctor. So, if I'm ever in rough shape, she hooks me up.
Oh, no wonder you're so fit. She don't let you eat shit. That's I need my wife to be a doctor too, because I'm getting pretty big.
Just eat a lot of kale. You'll be okay.
Right, yeah. So it said on your little IMDb description that being a high school teacher sharpened your improv skills.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's keep it real. At the end of the day, I'm talking to 14, 15-year-old kids about Shakespeare and, Orwell and stuff like that. They're not going to get jacked up about that. Right. So I had to be as entertaining as possible. So going in there to school every day, I got my lesson plans, but I just like to deliver them in my own special way. So literally every day was like an improv class, because you never know what a kid's going to ask you.
And to be honest with you, well, that's 100% true. But to be honest with you, making it nice, like funner to learn, especially English, you know,
I made it like way more funner.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. Way funner.
I had a student say that to me one time. It's like, Mr. Foster, it's like way more funner to talk about Paris Hilton and some stupid, crappy, blah blah blah. And I was like, it is way more funner.
So it's way funner. Apparently, I didn't teach you right.
Well, so the thing is when it came to teaching, my philosophy was, I treated them like adults. So like everybody would be like, oh, dude, you're 6'6" and weigh 270 pounds. Of course, the kids aren't going to mouth off to you. And I'm like, it's not like I could take them out of the parking lot and beat them to death, So I had to have my own little special way. So, for example, I was a big believer. I told them right off the bat, look, I'm never going to give you guys homework on the weekends. It's your time. That's your free time. So As long as you guys work hard and, do what you're supposed to do during the week and don't act a fool, I'm not going to give you homework on the weekends. I think there's only one time I gave the kids homework on the weekend, So that was like one thing there. And, if I ever had to discipline a kid, I didn't do it in front of the whole class to make them. I'm like, hey, Tom, stay after school or stay after class. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Why you got to make me beat this guy? Yeah. And I also too with the curriculum. Quick story. I talked to my principal and some of the school board members. I said I want to teach them this story, so we're doing short stories. And I did a Stephen King short story called Survivor Type, and it was written like in journal form. And man, I mean, it's all about. Long story short, it's about this doctor who goes and buys a bunch of heroin and comes back to the United States and gets in a boat crash and gets stranded on an island, like not like Tom Hanks Island, like just a rock type of an island, and starts slowly starving to death. And he has this heroin there. So piece by piece, he starts medicating himself, cutting body parts off to eat them. I had a girl turn green and run out of the classroom. So like, I'm like, we're doing these basic short stories. And then I throw something like that at him. Like, you guys know there's also stuff like this. And they're like, whoa, so it kind of kept them on their toes.
Dude, that's actually crazy.
Read Survivor Type and you will be tripped out. It's crazy.
That's a good one. I didn't even know that. And it's Shakespeare, so it's got to be descriptive.
Well, it's Stephen King.
Stephen King, that's right.
That's not a Shakespearean.
Yeah. Damn. I thought you said Shakespeare. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. So, you wanted to be a teacher at first? Is
Yeah.
that so beginning of life, you were like, I'm gonna be a teacher like my parents and everybody, I'm gonna teach
Yep.
people.
I wanted to be just like my dad. My dad, as a matter of fact, I did pretty much everything my dad did. In high school, I played basketball and baseball. That's what my dad did. I went to college, played baseball. It was Division III school, Mount Union. We went to the exact same school. The only thing different is we're in different fraternities. And hey, and for people out there that are going to knock fraternities, the only reason I was a fraternity because I was in like a steel mining town in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, and there was absolutely nothing to do. And there were like 1,500 kids in the school, so it was like if you want to be somewhat social, that's really all there is to do.
Right.
So that's why I joined it. Not to be bougie.
Come get in our frat and do a butt chug, dude.
You have no idea what I've done.
You don't know what I've done to be in that frat, man. Dude, and then what sparked you to want to be an actor? Because you literally left to Los Angeles. You left Airport High School to go to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So,
what's that?
Could you explain that?
Yeah.
Process?
So I did some theater classes in college, and I really liked them. Like, do you like horror movies by any chance?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I remember I had to do a monologue for my theater class, and I don't know if you remember a Wes Craven movie from the 80s called Shocker. So I did one where this guy's on the electric chair, and I was like, this is really fun. I really liked it. So I always liked theater, but I like being a teacher more. That's what I wanted to do. So I came back and I was teaching, and this is going to sound super cheesy, but I'm just being honest with you. So a buddy of mine gets a hold of me and like, hey, they're casting for this reality show in Ohio. And I'm like, all right. And I'm like, what is it? He's like, it's The Bachelorette. And I was like, huh, okay. And he's like, you should totally do it. And I'm like, I don't think so. And then I went and looked it up, and the girl that was doing it, I talked to my parents because my mom and dad, they used to watch stuff like that. And I was like, I asked them, I said like, hey, do you know anything about this girl? And my dad was like, the girl that's going to be the next Bachelorette, that was my little brother from my fraternity at Mount Union College. That's his daughter. So I was like, oh, so obviously she comes from a good home and a nice person and all this. So I'm a flaming capitalist. Okay. So I was working, I coached the first 3 or 4 years of my teaching career. And I mean, it was great. I absolutely loved it, but you're making about 18 cents an hour. So a buddy of mine got me hooked up with doing demos at sports nutrition stores. So like I'd go into GNC in Toledo and people would walk in and be like, what's adenyl pyrophosphoric acid disodium supposed to do? I'm like, well, let me tell you, and I was making really good money doing that. So I started doing really well selling stuff, and I got hooked up actually with Sylvester Stallone's In Stone company. He was back in 2004, 2005. He had like protein and pudding and fat burners and all that stuff. So I was going all across the country, going to trade shows, promoting that. And it just so happened that the weekend my buddy was telling me they were doing this auditioning for the show was a weekend I had to go to Cleveland and do the bodybuilding North Americans. Like I had to stand there in a booth and talk about protein, Right. So he winds up having me talk to somebody, and it got it where instead of being like the big line, they always show like the lines, like hundreds of dudes around the corner, like a cattle call. I got a one-on-one interview. And I came in there and talked to them just like I'm talking to you. I was like, teacher, my dad said that Jen's dad's a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. And then they tell me that I made the top 50 and I went to Los Angeles. First time I'd ever been there.
Ooh.
I've ever been west of the Mississippi. So I go there, and it's funny now, looking back in retrospect, where I was 15 minutes from where I lived when I moved out there in Glendale. So we're going there and we're staying at the Sheraton, and it's so crazy because I get there and it's like, I see, this might be TMI, but you got a trigger warning. I see like Vivid Video, Adam and Eve, like all these porn places. And everybody told me that the valley's full of porn. The first thing I saw when I got to the valley are all these porn studios. And it was like, whoa. So I go in there and I do my interview with them and everything. And guess I made them laugh. And they called me back for the top 25. So I had to go in front of the school board, and the whole thing is like, I couldn't say anything. This is back in 2004. And if you said anything about the show, they can nail you with a $5 million fee, like a lawsuit.
Yeah, they can sue you. Yeah. I just had somebody on the show that said the same thing.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. So I went in front of the school board and I was like, hey, can I go last when like all the parents leave? Kind of like waited. And then I got in there and I told them, I was like, this is going to sound crazy, but I need some time off if it's cool. You don't have to pay me, no pay, but I want to go do the show. And I did. So I digress here. But the reason I'm telling you this is then, I go do the show, I get my rose. Awesome. And the next show I get booted off. And it's funny when you show up there, you show up in limos and you get kicked off. They got a van waiting outside and pizza. Like, get out of here,
Yeah, get the fuck out.
Yeah, and it's funny because the producers come in the room like, do you need to talk to anyone? Like we've got, psychiatrists on standby, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna be okay. I'm like not in love here. It's okay. But the one guy comes in. His name was Jonathan Earl. I'll never forget. He walks in. He looks right at me. And he's like, "This is gonna change your life." And me being me, I was like, "Okay,
Yeah,
thanks."
sure.
Went back home, and it aired, and I got, for the time I was in it, I got a lot of screen time, I guess you could say. But what happened to get me to LA is all of a sudden people that I knew that were doing television and radio stuff would get a hold of me about doing local commercials. So I started doing all these local commercials, and I remembered how much I loved acting. So I'm doing, I did like my first commercial was the Roto-Rooter commercial, which is still showing today. And of course it was non-union, so I'm not getting residuals.
Right.
But I was doing all these different commercials, and I'm like, my philosophy in life, according to IMDb, is if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. And I'm like, if I'm going to do this acting stuff, am I going to do it in Monroe or am I going to do it in New York or LA? Yeah. And I was like, the weather for me, I wanted to go check out LA. So I literally, this is a true story, I literally loaded up my truck with my dad and moved to Beverly. Moved out there, and I lived right across from, for movie fans out there, do you remember the big building in Die Hard that blows up at the end?
Yeah, yeah.
The Nakatomi Tower. I could take a baseball. You were talking about throwing a baseball across the street. I could throw a baseball at the Nakatomi Tower. So I lived right there in Century City. It was pretty cool.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And your dad totally supported it?
I'll tell you what, when it comes to parents, I mean, everybody's, says whatever about their parents. I can honestly say that I have the best, most loving, supporting parents you can imagine. Like, you hear people talk about like, man, when I grew up, I don't want to be like my old man or my folks and all this.
Right.
Like I grew up wanting to be my parents, and they were so supportive. And I can't tell you how many times, I'm not going to get emotional, but how many times out there, because when I went out there, I literally went out with like $2,000 in my pocket, and rent out there is like 11 grand a month. So I had to bust my butt. And I can't tell you how many times my parents would be like, hey, do you need any money? What can we give you? And no matter what, I was not going to take a penny. It's like, if I'm doing this on my own. But they were always there to support me.
Yep. I have to do this on my lonesome, dude.
That's right. And, and like I said, not only were they supportive, if I needed them financially, but they were just so supportive as far as like, they knew that if I stayed in Monroe, this is going to be a cheesy example, but I'm a big movie quoter guy. I would have felt like Neo. You remember the beginning of The Matrix where he's just like, something just doesn't feel right. Like I love teaching, but it was just like, I felt like there was something else I was supposed to do. I just felt like I had to go explore something else. Right. And my parents just wanted me to be happy. So as much as they wanted me to stay in Monroe, they knew that I needed to go and, do what I did. And I'm glad I did because, because of that, not only do I have a career, but that's where I met my wife. And I've got a beautiful daughter because of it, So, I mean, nothing that would never happen.
What age did you go out to LA?
I was 32. So,
32.
And it's funny because like I'm 48. My daughter's 18 months old. And I'm always thinking like, I was kind of like the failure to launch. Like in my 20s, I was Mr. Foster, the high school teacher. And in my 30s, I'm like 30s and mid 40s, I'm Crazy Mike, the actor, I'm doing Nickelodeon and Disney and all this crazy stuff. And, so it's just, but it all works out the way it was supposed to. It's all,
That's a good way to do it. You literally, it was like you kind of accidentally fell into it. But you had classes. So you took acting classes in college just for fun, or were you? Yeah, you were just doing it just for one of your. Okay, yeah. And you liked it,
loved it.
That's okay. And then has English helped you, like with your speaking, like able to like read a script and be able to, has it helped you do that?
So I remember I had a class in college called Roles and Concepts of Interpretation. And, I just kind of kept the book. I got finished with the class. I think I took this my sophomore year, and I kept all my books from college, as expensive as they were,
Right.
And I, it's funny, like when I got to LA and started acting and started taking acting classes out there, like that's exactly how you train. Because I mean, when I first got started, most of my roles were like co-stars. So I would just explain to your audience the way it works. You got like extras. Those are the people in the back, like, doing that.
Yeah.
And co-stars are 5 and under is what they call them. You get 5 lines or under. Anything over 5 lines is a guest star. And then it goes on and on and on. So most of my roles were co-stars, which means, my role would be like, hey, you kids, get out.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. It didn't take a lot of studying to put that together, but when I started moving forward in my career, like, take, for example, the movie I've got coming out June 3rd. Check it out. Selected theaters, and then it's going to be on DVD on the 12th. Wolfhound, where I play a Nazi SS officer. I had giant dialogue that I needed to not only work on my German accent and not only memorize, but I had to actually break it down, like what I'm trying to say. And the roles of interpretation and the stuff that I did in college as an English major just blew me away how much it did help me be able to analyze a script.
That's the first thing when it said you were an English teacher. The first thing I thought of was that helped him. That had to have. Yeah. Not only the improv skills that you were doing, right?
Yeah.
The English, the ways that shit's structured and stuff. That's.
You know what my first thought was?
What?
He's gonna have a field day with T-Rup.
Yeah.
English teacher, your vocabulary. He's probably going nuts inside his mind.
It's going to be a lot funner. Let's just tell you that.
Way more funner.
Yeah, way more fun.
And when we're done, if I come up there, we'll go hang out at Walmart's or Myers together,
Yep, my wife works at Myers.
I would tell my students I had 3 pet peeves that drove me crazy. One is just because it's a really big building, it's not plural. Walmart's, Myers. The other thing is past and present tense. Hey, Mr. Foster, I seen this movie last week. You saw the movie. And then the other one was the double negative. Mr. Foster, teachers don't make no money, do they? No, they don't make no money. Those are my 3 pet peeves.
Well, this conversation will be very difficult for you.
I'm sorry, but
I'm not an English teacher anymore. It's cool.
If I was your English student, actually, as a matter of fact, in Monroe High School, my English teacher, I was so not interested in his class that he was strict on my sister because she thought she was going to be like me, and that was 4 years in advance. So he brought that 4 years in circle, and he was like, dude, you're a rup. I'm gonna have to get on you a little bit harder because the English that I can't. I don't know what it is, but I just can't. I never got into it. I like the science and the history and stuff.
Yeah, I love history too. Absolutely. You know what I think did it for me? Like why I liked English so much is I keep bringing up my father. Going back to my dad. Your first memories of life. I don't know. You don't want to call it like what is it like self-actualization or it's not an epiphany. It's when you first realize that you're alive. One of my first memories was when I was in kindergarten because my parents told me. My mom took me out to see my dad, who was teaching at the time, and he was teaching a horror science fiction class. And I remember walking in there, and it was the old reel-to-reel projectors, and he was showing Night of the Living Dead, the original one. And I just remember as a kid, they're running to the basement, boarding up the windows. Like that was for me. I was like, this is so cool. Like I just remember thinking as a kid that my dad is talking about this with and relating it to school stuff, and a little moving forward, just a little anecdote here. The thing that was really cool is so my dad and I are huge zombie fans. Like I said, my first memory in life is Night of the Living Dead. So when I booked and was in The Walking Dead, that was like one of those things that, because my dad always watches that too. It was kind of like that one's for you, Dad.
No, it's for you. I'm a zombie. Were you a zombie?
No, I was just a dipshit that was sitting out in the middle of the woods with his headphones on, sharpening a knife. And then a zombie comes up and I stab the zombie in the chest. So on the scale of Walking Dead idiots, I've got to be in at least the top 2 or 3.
Okay, that's perfect. And how that was all your role in that was?
Yeah, it was. So what they did is, like how everything now is like an origin story. That's like the big trend. So they were doing an origin story of Rick's red machete and where it came from. So it shows how I go and like steal it from a little girl, and I'm like, I'm basically a scumbag. So that was the role. So they use that as kind of like a universe building part of The Walking Dead.
Okay. And then you were the flashback.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
This asshole in the flashback, dude.
It was cool. It was in 2 episodes, so it was really cool.
Hey, look at that synchronicity, Flashback sponsors us.
Wow. What did you say? Did you wait for your dad to see it aired that you were in there, or did you tell him?
Oh, he knew because I wish some of my Hollywood friends were watching this because they could all be here to agree with me. Nothing ever works out where you can plan things when you're an actor. So, like for example, my wife was born in Nicaragua, and we had plans and tickets and everything to go down there and go surfing. I don't know if you guys listen to old school metal at all, but like Sacred Reich, Surf Nicaragua.
Yeah.
It's awesome down there. Like Nicaragua's surfing is fantastic.
Okay.
So we had plans to go down there, and my agent calls me, and this is the way it works for actors like myself. You know, if you're not like in a series or working constantly, it was crazy that, you know, I had done nothing for like 3 months. And as an actor, you start to get a little bit inside your head, like, they're never going to call again. Yeah. Well, my wife booked these tickets. We had everything planned. And sure enough, I get 3 auditions, and I booked 2 of them, all filming, which right at the time when we were going there. Just like, man, of course. So anyway, so going back to The Walking Dead, I was going to get married on August 17th, 2017. And I booked The Walking Dead. And we're going to get married that Saturday. And I had to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And at the end of the night, last flight out Friday, I have to fly from LA back to Michigan to get married the next day. And I was late to my own bridal shower, or not bridal shower. What do you call it? Rehearsal dinner.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The wife had something to say about that, didn't she?
Yeah, a little bit. But
yeah.
she's a doomsday prepper, so she appreciates the Walking Dead thing. You know what I'm saying? So she was happy for me.
Okay. So how did you meet your wife?
At a gay bar. Yeah, I was so long story. When I got out there, true story. I get out there, and you know, I tried to get. When you're an actor, you really have to do jobs at nighttime so you can be free all day to audition. Like, I never know when my phone's going to call, when my phone's going to ring, and it's going to be like, hey, you need to be over at, you know, Wendy O'Brien Studios in Santa Monica in an hour and a half. Like, that happens often. So that being said, most actors out there are either waitresses, waiters, or bartenders. So I needed to get a job. I was doing during the day when I had time. I was doing, again, I told you I was doing the supplement thing. So I go into supplement stores and all that.
Right.
And one of my accounts was in West Hollywood, which is probably the epicenter, like it's the gay capital of probably the world.
Right.
And everybody there is shredded too. It's crazy. Like when I go into this store, like everyone looks like that Ryan Gosling thing. Like, are you photoshopped? Everyone is just incredibly. So it was interesting, you know. And the manager there was really cool. You know, he would always come and talk to me and everything. And I couldn't get a job anywhere in, like, I lived in the South Bay at the time. So for your listeners, like, there's LAX. Into the north, you got like Marina Del Rey, Santa Monica, you know, Pacific Palisades, that Venice Beach. To the south is like Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach. And I was living down there. So I couldn't get a job anywhere because, I mean, think about it. You go to the bar, you don't want to look at me. You know what I'm saying? You want to look at pretty girls. So I was like, man. So I was talking to the manager of the store about this. And he's like, you should totally get a job working at a gay bar. And I mean, me being, you know, from Monroe, I'm like, why? And he's like, do you like to fight? And I'm like, no. And he's like, there'll never be a fight. And he's like, do you like big tips? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, we're dinks. I'm like, what's that? Dual income, no kids. And I'm like, ah. And he's like, do you like pretty girls? And I was like, yeah. And like, all I knew about gay bars was like the Blue Oyster from the Police Academy movies, you know?
Right, yeah.
I'm like, what? And he's like, just trust me. So I go, and first place I went and had a job interview in this place called Hamburger Mary's, which is kind of like, I guess the best way to describe it would be like a gay Hooters party franchise. There's one in Toledo now.
There's one in Toledo. They people invited me there. I got a story after you keep going, but keep going.
Well, yeah, you should go. I mean, it was a ton of fun, right? And I just went in there and did this, and I walked in and they're like playing 80s music videos, and it was just like a lot of energy. So I was like, all right. So I started working there. And the thing that I hope this isn't a trigger warning, but the way my gay friend at the store told me, he's like, hey, the way it works in Hollywood are the Jews have all the money, and they pay us gays to make all the decisions. It's true. Like when I was living in the South Bay, I didn't know anybody involved in the industry. I knew nothing. But when I started working at the gay bar, producers, directors, casting directors, writers, all these people would come in all the time. And I got to meet people in the industry, you know? And I didn't have to do it by being like that douchey guy that walks into a bar with a cell phone, like, hey, give me a call sometime. I'd just be sitting there going on, and the director would sit down and be like, let me guess, you're an actor, like everybody else tell him. Yeah. You know, what have you been in? Well, I'm just getting started, you know, but yeah, that's how that worked. And then
I'm just here at the gay bar, dude, serving drinks right now. I'm just trying, man.
And, you know, I mean, I'm going to probably pay for this one, but like I'm down at you go to the straight bars, and this is back in the day. Every girl's walking around like this because these tools with Ed Hardy shirts on are walking around like, hey, what's up? The gay bars.
You like my MMA shirt?
What is that?
You like my MMA shirt? No, it's a Sean John shirt. But
the affliction, bro. Yeah. And, you know, and then I go to the gay bars and the girls there are, I mean, gorgeous. And, you know, they're walking around like, Esteban, do you have any straight friends? Like, well, Big Mike at the bar. And I'm up there, who's doing a shot of Jaeger? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like the only straight guy there. And then that's how I met my wife, is a very good friend of mine who was her trainer, Eric. He was like, I've got this girl you got to meet. And I was like, you know, at the time I was loving my single life. I'm like, bartending, acting, everything's great, you know. And he's like, you got to meet her. And he brings her in one day, and like the first thing she's doing is like quoting the original Red Dawn and telling me about her bug out bag and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? You know, because most actresses and models, when here's some more trigger stuff, they start talking and you're just like,
oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, but she was like really interesting. I had no idea what she did for a living. I just know that she was pretty cool. So we had a few dates and I was just like, this is all right. And I got to say this right now. The reason my career went the way it did is because of her. Because fast forward a few years, this guy that I talked about from the supplement store, my gay friend that would tell me where I should work at the gay bar, he and I and a couple other guys went in, and I opened a sports nutrition store in the middle of West Hollywood. So I had my own store and I was working all the time, and I had no time at all for acting. You know, I'd get auditions and it's like, I got to be in the store. So my wife and I, after we dated for quite a while, she was like, you know, she wanted me to move in with her. And I'm like, I don't know about that. She goes, look, I'll tell you what. If you really want to pursue your dream of acting, I'll support you until you get going. And I was like, and I'm like, I've always had my own jobs. I don't take anything from anybody, not my own parents, you know? And I was like, well, I really thought about it. And I actually prayed on it quite a bit too. I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to do? And I moved in with her at the time. I mean, I loved her and I knew this was going to be the one. Yeah. And it was crazy because all the stuff I'd done before was like, I was saying like co-stars and, you know, extra stuff. And the minute I went with her, it was a week later. That's when I booked my first guest star on 90210. And after that, it was just then all of a sudden my career started taking off. So, you know, when they talk about, you know, like behind every man's a good woman, it's in my case, it's true. I couldn't have done it without my wife.
It's 100% true.
Also, real quick, you were able to manifest your dream now that, you know, you had all these other things blocking your way,
and you had
to
support.
Manifest that. And now the door had opened for you to be able to manifest that instead of all these other things.
Dude,
absolutely right.
And I totally agree with you with that. Behind every good man is a good woman. Because I got a woman, dude. Sometimes she gets angry about it, but she'll never stop supporting what I do. Dude, okay, I got a question for you, or a question, not a question, a story for say. I did my debut a couple weeks ago as a drag queen. First time, you know, and
with the beard, the tattoos get fully covered up, but that beard stays.
The beard.
I don't know. What's your stage name?
Grandma Goik.
Comes out as an old lady.
Yep, I'm an old lady. So the thing is I was in a motorcycle accident. I spent almost 2 years in a nursing home, getting to recover. Mm-hmm. So I literally had 47 grandmas. Like, I was learning how to walk again, and I would walk past their rooms and they'd have snacks for me. They'd cheer me on. You're doing so good, sweetie. And when I got out, because one of these ladies said, I was like, she was wearing a muumuu, and I was like, dude, that looks really comfortable. Like, I wish I could do that. She's like, you can. It's the most comfortable thing in the world. She says, just try one and then see, you know, because I was wearing the hospital gown and that was a muumuu. It's like, huh. And then one day I seen a 4X muumuu and I was like, I need this in my system. And I just wore it for fun. I wore a custom made muumuu to my wedding, and I was the one that walked down the aisle. And this is what sparked
a butterfly muumuu, not just a muumuu. Yeah. This dude had full 6-8 foot wings.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was beautiful. And
was it themed?
No.
It was like a masquerade. You just dressed however. Like, I wore a mask to the wedding, and
okay.
It was like, for instance, I just told all my friends, wear what the hell you want. It was a little wedding. It was just us in Vegas. You know, like 10, 15 people it was. And I said, wear whatever the hell you want, feel comfortable, look weird. I don't give a shit what you do. And and my sister was a showgirl. What are those?
She was I forget what they're called, but she had those big old feathers like the Vegas showgirls do.
Yeah, gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yep.
she had one of those. And
where'd you get married? Was it in a hotel?
No, it was the Caesar's Palace in front of in the gazebo in the Caesar's Palace right there. It was so cool. We were on the strip. Everybody was walking by. I lifted my wings up and was like, I just got married. And 1,000 people are cheering. And oh my God, it was awesome.
That's
my
cool.
wife had me walk down the aisle and everything. And
he didn't just walk down the aisle. Let me tell you that.
I did a mating dance. I'm not gonna lie. That's what males do. They do mating dances in the wild. That's what they do to get women, right? So
right,
I do one, and I landed me a hot bride, dude. And look at me, you know. So, but that kind of I wasn't. I went through a lot of shit in the hospital and almost died. So I didn't really care what people thought of me. So I would wear whatever the hell I wanted to wear, and then. We had an idea. We were like, dude, we don't see a lot of drag queen stuff around here. I never been to a drag queen thing. And until I performed, I wasn't never even interested in that stuff. Right. And then we met with the drag queens. We were going to throw an event and we were joking around like, I'll do it. I wear a muumuu anyway. I'll put some makeup on and do something. He's like, dude, I got 3 minutes for you. Just do a song, lip sync a song for 3 minutes. I'm like, oh, wow, this is real. And the whole time my wife's supporting me, everybody's supporting me. It's all fun. My dad supports me. And it's weird. My dad is the macho man, grew up like, you know, a men of men raised my dad. And he tried to raise me, but I don't think it worked that good. I'm not a manly man, you know, but he supports everything I do. And like my wife does too. My wife is the quietest lady in the whole wide world. There was 250 people in that room that I came out to Drag Queen Bingo in. I could hear my wife scream over every single one of these people. I was like, this is where I got to be. And I will tell you one thing, like for all straight men or anybody that thinks Drag Queen Bingo is weird, that's probably one of the funnest times you will ever have.
So that was actually at Hamburger Mary's towards the end when I was actually working more and couldn't work as many shifts in acting. I did every Sunday. And Sunday, Hamburger Mary's is known for the drag brunch. Yep. So it would be like all the drag, like at one point I knew more drag queens than like straight dudes and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and they were Sparkle Stone, Christy Champagne. I could go on and on. But they would have the drag queen show going on, and then they had a giant big screen behind me, and I would have like football going on. So it would be like I'd have all the guys at the bar talking about who was better looking, Tom Brady or Brett Favre, while a giant drag show was going on back there. And it was funny because I got to tell you a quick story. Trigger warning. So the drag queens would always come out and they'd always have the same shtick, right? And they'd be like, where are all the fags out there? And be like, oh my God, where are all the lesbians out there? Yeah. Where are all the bachelorette parties out there? Oh my God, Amber, I love you so much. And where are all the straight guys? So Michael at the bar is the only straight man.
Yeah.
They would do that every time. And I'd just be back there going, you know, go get a shot from Big Mike at the bar. And it was crazy. But yeah, I totally agree. Like any straight person that would ever, you know, if they're open-minded enough and they want to have a good time, drag shows are absolutely hilarious.
They're super fun. They're super. We had a VIP table that we were going to invite some of our people that worked with us before, and we put like rappers, business owners and stuff at this table, and they said, I have never had so much fun at an event before. I never thought to go to a drag queen show. Dude, I never thought I was going to be a drag queen. When I did it, I was like, I'll never stop. I'll never fucking stop, like for real. And I honestly, I walked into a smoke shop a couple days later and I still had my nails painted. The ladies at the counter asked about my nails, and I was like, oh, I was a drag queen a couple days ago. It was my first debut or whatever. And we were talking about it. They were all happy. And I was like, yeah, but is it weird because I'm married? Like I'm a straight man and I'm being a drag queen? She says, no, it's what's cooler is a straight man is supporting it and like supporting maybe it'll get other straight men to come out and go to a show or support the shit. Maybe you can break the stigma, because they said I never knew of a drag queen that wasn't you know, it wasn't gay. And I was just like, well, hey, what's up?
Well, the thing about T-Rup is he's all about making other people happy and bringing up the mood and making you laugh. Like this dude's honestly real life, he's the funniest person I've ever met in real life. That I tell him all the time, like if he put his grindstone to the sword, the dude could be on SNL. He could be like for real. That's not even me just being his friend. That's real life.
And he's been in my head for about a year with that, and I've been in my head about I battle PTSD with I smoke weed for it, and that's what I don't want that crutch no more. So actually today is my first day I'm sober. Like I'm not going to smoke, and I'm going to try to get it out of my system, and I'm going to see if I can clear my head up, and maybe it opens up the clouds and I can start writing comedy and start actually focusing on it a little bit harder without that distraction. And I just don't want to have crutches no more.
Yeah.
I
completely understand where you're coming from. I lived in California. I'm about 3 months with no devil's lettuce. And I can tell you right now, I'm just much more focused. I would always be like, man, it's okay. It's natural. It's, obviously people that suffer from PTSD and everything, I think it's definitely got its applications. I like it because I used to be angry all the time. I mean, again, I lived in LA, and when there's just so much noise all the time, it just made me,
yeah.
And I just noticed, like I said, I think what you're going to know. I mean, I know it's day one, and hey, step in the right direction. You're just going to be more focused, and you're going to be more driven. I think that's what's going to happen.
That's what I really want, because we're taking off with Brain Jerk, and if I'm just sitting here, and also I say that the weed helped my PTSD because it numbed it, but also, was it numbing my creativity? Is it numbing my ability to keep focused, or is it numbing my ability? That's what I was wondering. So I was like, I want to dry out. It's not like I want to quit forever, but I want to dry out so it's out of my system, and I want to see how it is. And then I'll make a choice at that time, because my birthday is on June 28th. So I'm going to stop until then, make sure it's out of my system, and then I'm going to assess the situation at that time. So it's all the way out. We've done research about it before, like dependency on marijuana. It's not like a addiction, but it is a dependency if you smoke.
It's like it's a habit,
Yeah.
You get used to every night taking a couple rips, playing some video games, going to sleep, whatever it is. It's a habit. I actually, the first time I was an English major and I never smoked marijuana. I started smoking marijuana after I blew up my Achilles tendon. Like it was gone. And I remember I still lived in Michigan. You were talking about the studio not having air conditioning. I lived over on Roeder Street. I had a house over there, which is kind of back behind of our field, kind of. And I didn't have air conditioning at the time. And I had a huge cast on, and the surgery it would just itch and itch. And a friend of mine who was very versed in, a lot of different like supplements, things like that, he was like, you should smoke. And I was like, why? And he's like, it's going to help the pain. And I remember the first time I did, it was like all that itching hurts went away. Yep. And then I was playing at the time, this is back in the old Xbox days, I was playing Halo, and I was like, whoa. And then I remember the bite of my first apple, and I was like, oh, this is great.
So fucking good. What the hell?
Right? Everything tastes delicious. But, for me, though, when I smoked, when I did smoke, I know some people have addictive, personalities, or that could, they talk about a gateway drug. For me, it didn't. For me, it just chilled me out. You wouldn't be able to tell if I was or if I wasn't. I guess you could say I was functioning. But when I had to work, when I wouldn't be on set or anything like that, that was no way, because I know it did affect my short-term memory. And when you've got a lot of lines to memorize, that's But I really do wish you luck on this. I really think it's going to be a good thing to clean out for a while and see what happens.
Thank you, and I'm glad that it's cool. The synchronicity wave, you're doing it too. You said 3 months, 3 months clean, and I thought that it would be a good time right now, because I have a brain injury too. So, and I have some problems with it. I want to clear my mind to see if I really do have a brain injury or I'm just stoned. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a big thing, and dispensaries are opened up in here, and there's weed smoking everywhere around me. And I think this is the best time for me to mentally really feel good about myself, really feel strong, so I can go through it. And it's literally, I can go to a store and get it right now.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
everybody's like, hey, you want to try this? I bought it from the store the other day. You want to fucking try this? You want to try? No, actually, I'm good. And my wife said that she would like to do that with me, but I also told her, I said, it's not. Like, you can smoke it around me. It's actually better if you do. And I say no. And than me sitting there and trying, let me. And I told Josh, a couple of my friends, I told my wife, I said, hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Shit on me if I want to smoke weed, or shit on me if I do, or something like that. Like, you guys got to know, like, because I'm trying to do this to better myself. And maybe if I can get rid of this giant crutch that I've had since I was 13 years old, maybe I can get rid of these nicotine pens, or maybe I can get rid of some coffee. I don't need coffee every morning. I can drink some tea and get a lot more benefits out of it.
Absolutely. Green tea while you're at it, though.
Yep. And there's so much out there. And, maybe if I start, I'm not going to drop everything at once, but I'm going to drop the biggest thing that I think is an issue.
Yep.
And,
absolutely.
And I haven't, maybe I want to dream again, or maybe I want, something. I don't know. I just want to see what it's like, dude, because it's been so long that I haven't been clean. Like, I've went a week without smoking, but I haven't had my system clean since I was 13 years old. It's been fucking 15 years. I'm ready to see what it's like, see if I'm a different person, see if I'm a better person, more driven. And that's the, maybe, who knows, like the same thing, like you did. You seen a dream and you were like, fuck it, dude. I'm moving to LA.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story right there. But no, actually for me, just to tell you, when I quit, and I don't want to sound too crazy here to your listeners, but I was, when we moved here, everybody told me from LA, they're like, you're going to move to Alabama and you're going to start watching college football and you're going to have to join a church. And I was like, yeah, that'll happen. Guilty as charged. So I was,
Bama, baby.
But it was crazy because we got here and like I was born and raised Catholic, that was, that's what my parents were. That's what I was. And I just never really had a relationship, with the Lord. And then I go to LA, and for the last 15 years, man, I'm living the LA lifestyle, and that did not include any, and it was just, I felt confused and angry. There's so much going on. And we moved here to Bama, and my next door neighbor, I'm talking to him, the first 5 or 6 minutes, I'm like, yeah, man, I got to start mowing my lawn. And he's like, do you have a lawnmower? And I'm like, not yet. He's like, well, I got an extra one for you. And I'm like, what? Like, people are actually friendly here. And he's like, he's telling me, because we just had our daughter, and my wife was telling me, so my wife being Nicaraguan, obviously religious there too. And she was the same as me. We both hadn't been to mass since 2000. Right. And she was like, I really want to raise our daughter Christian. I was like, okay. At the time, I'm like, whatever. And my next door neighbor says, you should come to our church, which is within walking distance. And we went there, and, it was one of those deals where my wife and I are sitting there listening to the pastor, looking at each other like, whoa, like we were kind of connecting. Right. And then I was, I've done more reading and everything. And then I got saved in November, but it was one of the scriptures we were talking about being of sober mind and of sober body, and it was just, I'm thinking, I'm a dad now, I'm basically, I'm going to keep it real. I'm a functioning pothead. I smoke weed every day, and I got a daughter. And it's like, it's just, it's like, you want to go to the park? And I'm just kind of like, okay. It wasn't me. So I decided for myself, and again, this is just me. This is my testimony, after I was saved, it's just like, I want to be a better person. I just want to be the best dad I can possibly be. Mm-hmm. And I feel since we've come here to Alabama, and since I've, found religion and, do a lot of reading and meditating now and praying, I just feel like a better person. Yep. And since I stopped smoking weed, that cloud that was even going to church, I never, smoked, I went to church, but it's like, I still had that cloud. And now without weed, I just feel very focused, and I'm glad that I did, and I just, my whole goal in life anymore, I don't care if Marvel or Disney or Star Wars or whatever it is called, I just want to be a good dad. Right. And I've noticed for me on a personal level, and again, this is just me, I'm just telling you my story, is when I got weed out of the equation, and, I feel better. I feel like a better dad.
Got a lot less cloudy. That's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah. I just don't want it to be cloudy.
Yeah, and everything is cloudy, and confusing.
Yep. And by any means am I against people smoking weed. Like, I think it's a very, very, very great thing. Like, for medical purposes, for recreational purposes, for all that stuff. Yeah. It's just, I want to, even if I go back to smoking weed again, I don't want to smoke every day.
There it is. Because it's so easy just to, for me, it was every night. See, and honestly, the reason I smoked so much is I hurt my lower back a couple years ago. I was working out with a crazy Australian guy, and we were doing these crazy leg presses, and I slipped my L5S1. So I'm like, and I'm older now. So for me, I knew I needed to start doing yoga and Pilates and these things to strengthen myself, but it hurts. Like you're a big lug too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, stretching hurts. So I would smoke before I'd stretch. Like I had this whole thing before my daughter was born. I'd go to my yoga class at 11 in the morning out in LA. I'd take my vaporizer, take a couple rips, going and do yoga. And it was awesome because to me, it deadened the pain threshold. And I was able to get into my stretches and poses. And because of it, my back didn't hurt anymore. But, now that I've gotten past all that, it's like, what am I doing? I mean, what am I going to go, burn half a joint, come in and play video games, go to bed? But there's so much more that I could be doing with my life.
Yep. And there is that's the problem is like that 20 minutes it took me to roll the joint, smoke the joint and stuff. I could have been doing something productive, or that whole hour I'm sitting around like, dude, there's some Oreos in the fridge or in the
yes, the munchies.
And I don't have a problem with the munchies. I'm a fat guy. I love food, but like I just think if I get something that one of the biggest crutches, I stopped smoking cigarettes and went to these, and that's not good enough for me. But I'm like, okay, I devolved on the cigarettes a little bit, and now I'm gonna take the weed out. And once I take weed out, nothing's stopping me from nothing. I'm gonna be king of the world. I'm not saying, but and that's what I'm saying. I want to figure out my PTSD without marijuana, because now I said, okay, I battle PTSD with just smoking weed. Now I want to say I battle PTSD in my head, and I successfully do it every fucking day. And I want to tell people, like, I promote mental health and self-love and all that stuff, but I want them to know, like, I have shitty days. There's days where nobody is going to like me. There's high or not. I can be high or sober. But the thing is if I can figure this out, I can probably tell people, like, hey man, I do this totally organically with my brain.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. And this is how I do it. And I'm not saying like, oh, I figured it out, so I have no problems whatsoever. I wake up some mornings and I'm an asshole. Like everybody does it. And my brother gave me the best word of advice. I was bitching about my wife being mean to me sometimes, or being rude for no reason. And he says, you expect her to love you every day, right? Every day for 365 days a year. You can't tell me you wake up in the morning, look yourself in the mirror and say you love yourself every day. Like some days it's just not that day, and if you don't love yourself every day and she loves you every day, and she loves you every day, then she can have bad days too.
That's right.
She can. And that was one of the best things that I've ever heard with my marriage, or for my marriage, is because, like, maybe some days she's just not fucking feeling it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another reason. It's funny you said that, because my wife is an absolute rock. She really is. I mean, she's very stoic, but she was always there for me when I needed her. And that's another reason. Go back to the marijuana. Like, that's why I'm just not going to smoke anymore, because I always want to be focused. Because like I said, I always want to be a better dad, and I always want to be a better husband for her. Because all those days when I woke up and felt like, I mean, hey, trust me, being an actor, I guys go, hey, what's it like being an actor? Is it fun and all this? You have to have the thickest skin in the world. We hear no 98% of the time. Oh, you're too short, you're too tall, your eyes are this color, we need this, we need that. So I mean, I come home to her and it's like, no, I worked so hard on this role, and I know I killed it, and blah blah blah. Going back to the drag thing that we had, there was a Bruce Willis movie called, I think, Once Upon a Time in Vegas, and I auditioned for the drag queen role in that. And this is back when I was working at the bar all the time, so I know I killed it, and I did it. And I was really hurt about that. My wife was there, as far as when I start getting off track, and when I start getting distracted, when I start feeling like I have low self-esteem, she was always there for me. So that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons, again, on a personal note, while I'm, kind of cutting out the devil's lettuce for, indefinitely, because I just want to be a better husband for her. Instead of playing those video games, maybe I'll go clean something for her. Because like right now, she's working a 24-hour shift. She's an anesthesiologist at the hospital here, and she's working all the time. And I'm a stay-at-home dad now as an actor. I mean, if I get a call to act, I go act. But for the most part, I'm here with my daughter. So instead of just being zoned out and doing nothing, I just want to be better for her. And I
Being
think
all zonked on the video games, eating all your daughter's snacks and shit. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
She had amazing cookies over there, and I shouldn't have gotten into them, but I did, you know. But like I'm saying, it's
so fucking good, dude.
Right? And it's like, I'll just have one, sure, you know. But like I said, I think that's going to be the same for you when you're one day in. But you just watch. We follow up on this conversation a month from now. You're going to be like, dude, you know.
And that's it's just a fucking thing. I want to try it. I just want to. If it works, it works, you know. But I'm serious about. I don't want to smoke until June 28th for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Maybe I'll celebrate a month and a half of sobriety at June 28th, or maybe I'm just like, dude, don't bring that shit around. I don't really want it. Like
but when you do it, you'll see what happens, and then you'll see where you're at then. You know.
Yeah.
I hate to sound like some cliche card, but you know, one day at a time. Like just it's kind of like even too with like dieting. You know, well, the first day seems rough, but the more you stay at it, the more dedicated you're going to be to it. You know, for me, like when one of my other jobs is I'm a romance model, right? So when I have to get in shape for that, you know, I have to eat very clean. I mean, I'm a former fat kid. You know, I mean, being all disclosure here, I had to have the abdominoplasty. I could pull my skin way out. You know, I was one of the fattest kids in school. So, you know, for me, dieting is very important when I have to do my job, you know, when I'm getting ready for a photo shoot. And that first day is rough, and the second day. But by like day 10, when it's just nonstop eating kale and baked chicken and all this stuff, it's fine. The problem is, and I think that you're going to be able to relate this to your marijuana smoking, is that, you know, throughout that whole time, you can just have one cheat meal. You can just have one candy bar. It's like, would you walk up to a grizzly and just say, here, just have a little bit of blood? You think I'm going to stop with that? And it's like one little, you know, I'm game over. So the one little candy bar that I have totally throws my diet off. So for me, on a personal note, I'm better when I just don't cheat at all. And that's, you know, and there's been times in the last 3 months I wanted to go out to the garage and have a little powwow and, you know, watch some trippy movie or something. But I just like, no, I'm better than that. That's what I think to myself. I'm better than that.
Why don't you? Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, people were asking me, like, what about the stuff you do when you like doing when you're high? Why don't I just do it when I'm sober and enjoy it sober?
Yeah.
I'll watch a trippy movie not high. Like, wow, this is even more trippier, dude. you know, or whatever. Or notice more shit. I'm in it for the journey and to see where it takes me. Honestly, at the end of the path, I'll assess the situation, and like, it's not cutting it out forever, but it might be. Who knows? I don't know. I just want to do this for my own personal gain.
Yep.
And maybe, you know, Josh is telling me I'm the fucking funniest guy he knows. Maybe something happens from that. You know, maybe shit. Who knows?
Talking about the future, what does the future hold for you, Michael?
Well, wow. Thanks for asking. You know, my thing right now is I'm trying to. I told you, I've said this 100 times. I'm trying to be the best dad that I can, the best husband that I can. And as far as acting goes, honestly, how do I say this? I'm not really thrilled about what's going on in Hollywood with certain messages that are going on out there. It's not my scene. And I really want to be a good role model for my daughter. And some stuff has happened that I've just, you know, like, I guess I'll just say it. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to fire me? Oh, well, I've had my career. I've got to be in big budget movies. Like I said, I've been on over 800 romance covers. I've gotten to do TV shows. I've gotten to do web series, all this stuff. So I've lived my dream. I mean, I've been a teacher for 9 years and I've been an actor for 15 years and I've loved it. So moving forward, I just want to do the best I can to try to just make the world a better place. And I don't think being in some of these movies, like, let me just give you an example. The day my daughter was born, I had 2 auditions. One was for Shameless on Showtime and the other was for some other movie. The Showtime one was, I was playing a next door Nazi that was branding kids with swastikas. The other was some drunk deadbeat white trash dad that winds up blowing his daughter away at the gun range. And I just see, and I'm just keeping it real here, I see a lot of this stuff in Hollywood that's trying to make heterosexual white Christian men look bad. There, I just said it. And I don't like that. I've got a daughter of mixed race, okay? My wife's Nicaraguan, my daughter's mixed. And I don't want her. And everyone's like, well, it's just a role you're playing. That's fine. Someone else can play it. I'm fine. You know, I've worked. I've had my dream. I don't want to perpetuate this thing that someone that looks like me is a bad person, especially with my daughter growing up seeing that. And that's just me. I mean, people can say whatever they want. If they get mad, some casting directors that watches this now and gets butthurt, I don't care anymore. I don't. I've lived my dream. You know what I wanted to do? This movie I've got coming out June 3rd. It's a World War II movie. And the character that I play he is a Nazi, but he's not like a trying to kill Jewish people Nazi. He's like, his whole thing is he's trying to start a coup. All right. Okay. So I love that character that I played. And, both my grandfathers were in World War II. And my dad and I grew up, zombie movies and World War II movies. So right. I got to live my dream. And if anybody's got a problem with that, well, they can kick rocks. Right. I want to do things that are going to help. I just want to be a good role model. And I really want my daughter to grow up looking at me saying, like, that's my dad. I'm proud of him.
And that's
really it.
And that's all you want is happiness is what you're doing. And it's only personal opinion, and you just want to keep yourself happy because you being a good dad and being a good husband is first and foremost. Yeah. And then everything else comes after that. So if it does make you feel some type of way, I mean, then be you, dude. Don't be somebody else, because then you're gonna regret it. You're gonna be like, dude, I didn't want to fucking do that. Or
well, I mean, it was just, and the thing is, Hollywood has changed on me. I mean, like I played Goliath in David and Goliath. I mean, he's the ultimate bad guy.
Right.
I don't mind playing bad guys but when it's just like the auditions I'm getting now are just constantly. I was on 800 romance covers, and I'm always the good guy. So it's not like, I mean, if I look like a complete degenerate, then I guess I get it. I guess that stereotype. My buddy Kazzy grew his beard out and his hair. He looks like a biker. Those are the roles he gets. Right. But like when every audition I'm getting is just scumbag and bad news and just people that it's like, no, I don't want anything to do with that anymore. And the best part of it is, at the end of the day, hey, I've gotten my career. I've lived my dream. My wife's a doctor. Kick rocks if you don't like it. That's
dude, you did more. You did more than your dream.
Yeah, I did. I got
your dream was to be a fucking teacher.
I did it, and I wanted to be an actor, and I did that too. So, and it makes me sad because the thing when it comes to acting is I love it more than anything. And if anybody wants to question that, go back and look at my career. I have done so many free movies and free everything, just to be on set, just to work, and I loved it, and it just makes me sad where the industry is going with these messages that people that look like me are a certain way, and I don't like that. And I'm in a position where I'm not going to take those roles anymore. And I feel bad for my agents. I've got an agent in LA. I got an agent in the Southwest. I got an agent in the Southeast. I got an agent in Germany. And all these agents, I'm just like, I told them, I'm not going to take these roles anymore. So don't send them to me. And so far they've been, I can say this, I've had the most supporting, my manager, Benny of John Thomas Talent. He has my back, and he's wonderful with that. And, my agent in LA, Joe Florence, and, these people are great and they support me. And that's really, I'm absolutely blessed to have such a supportive wife, a supportive family, and a supporting, management and talent agencies that really, they're fine with what I'm doing. They're not dropping me, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, that goes with, we'd say this all the time, just be yourself. Don't sell yourself out. Be who you are. If that's what you want to be, it, stand up for yourself, because that's what a lot of people don't do. They let people walk over them, and then they're like, why am I sad? Because you're a doormat. Yeah. You can't do that. You can't just form what everybody's doing. You got to have your own backbone, because you are who you are. And no matter what, over time, if you're doing something you don't like or something that like that, it's going to eat at you.
Absolutely.
If I wake up every morning and text you and say, hey, you're a piece of shit, every day, you're going to start believing it.
That's right.
Oh, dude, he's fucking right.
But you're right. I mean, you got to do things that make you happy, that don't compromise your morals and integrity.
Yep.
For me, I mean, like you were asking me earlier what my YouTube channel was, the American Size Travel Guide. I do that because I love doing it. I love meeting people. I love going out there being a good person. I try to be a good Christian. I want to spread the message that, there is good in this world, and not everything has to be just negative and horrible. And like you said, a text message every day that you're a piece of dirt.
Yeah.
As a teacher, I tried to be positive to my students, and it's like, if I can't do that in Hollywood anymore, that's cool. That's good. You guys enjoy yourselves, have fun, whatever it is. Peace out. I had a good time while it lasted. But for now, if I can do my travel show, or if I can do something else, again, just trying to be someone that, like, how do I say this? This is going to sound terrible, but they say never meet your idols.
Yeah.
Never meet your heroes. Well, I've lived in LA for a while, and I've met some of my heroes, and it's true. I just don't ever want to be that guy. When I started doing children's television, Nickelodeon and Disney, it's funny that a lot of my former students now have kids that are old enough to watch that. Like here's old Mr. Foster here with his 18-month-old daughter, and I've got kids that were my students in high school that now have kids that are 14 and 15. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
But like, I knew they'd be watching that, so I didn't want to be the kind of guy that, like, if they, whatever it is, my social media, like when I do all my live social medias, I try not to swear and cuss and do that stuff. I want to be a positive role model. Okay. And so you're asking what's going forward in my life from now. I'm going to do just that. Whatever I get into, I just want to be the best person I can be, that my daughter and my wife and my family can look at me and say, we're proud of him.
Yep. You want to spread a positive message. You're for humanity. That's beautiful.
I am. And I know I've brought this up over and over again, but being saved really changed my life. I was one of those, I guess you could say, a cultural Christian. I was baptized, I'm Catholic, but I never did that. And for me, on a personal note, like reading scripture and seeing the stories that happened then are stuff that's happening now. And I can apply that to my life and not feel like I'm crazy, So it's been a really positive move for my wife and I to move here to Alabama.
Oh, yeah. So you love it even more?
I love. Well, see, here's the thing: is something has gone severely wrong when we lived on the mountain out in LA. So, you guys ever watch the Rose Bowl? That's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah.
Like, it shows the mountains in the back. We lived in those mountains, like in Glendale, and it was overlooking the city. It was beautiful. Everything was great. And then we moved to Alabama. So something has definitely, and I love Alabama so much. There's no other place I can think of that I'd rather raise my daughter. But we just had to leave LA because it was just, I guess,
not a place to raise a kid for sure.
Oh, never. It's kind of like, how like there's like, I can tell right now, if I walked into a room and met you, I'd like you. Like I can tell you've got a good energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can just tell someone walks in like, I'm going to like that guy.
Yeah.
Or she's nice. You can just tell. But LA, imagine all of these people from all around the world that go there that try to pursue the dream. They want to be famous. They want to be rich. They want all of these earthly things they want to happen. And then it doesn't happen. And then they've got all this, well, I could have done that, or I could have did this, and rah, rah, rah. And they've got this negative outlook on everything. That's fine if it's one person. But I'm talking about LA County has 17 million people. And how many people make it? So you've got all this negativity just swirling over the city. And it's suffocating. Yeah. My wife and I would talk about it all the time. I mean, we had good friends out there. There are really good people. I don't want to just crap on the whole city, but it was just overwhelmingly just so dark and lonely, So
and everybody thinks it's the promised land.
They really do.
They do. It looks so pretty. It looks so pretty but really you don't know what's going on. That place is.
But it's all a facade. Like, for example, like what do you guys think of when you think of the beaches of Santa Monica? Big blonde dudes surfing, all this stuff. Get there in real life and stick your foot in the water. It's freezing. And there's great white sharks. It's a bunch of dudes going like this with wetsuits on, Yeah. Hollywood Boulevard. Ooh, Hollywood Boulevard. Ooh. Ooh. I mean, remember Pretty Woman? Remember when his buddy's like, you picked up a hooker on Hollywood Boulevard at 1 a.m? There you go.
They're all there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what you think. I mean, I will say this. Los Angeles and Hollywood has a great PR department. But when you get there and see what you see, and you see just the amount of homeless people, do you know there's actually an app? Google this one. I know there's one in San Francisco. I think there's one in LA now, where you can take a picture of human feces on the road and it sends a GPS so they know where to come clean it up. It's that dirty out there now. And when I moved out there, I loved it. I was out there in 2006. It was great. I mean, Los Angeles to me was my favorite place in the world because within 2 hours with the traffic situation, you could be at the ocean. You could be in the mountains skiing. You can be in wine country. You can be in the third largest city in the United States having any kind of food you'd imagine. I mean, there was everything there. It's like paradise. And then they ruined it.
Yeah. And then the negativity just it spreads like wildfire, man.
Right. And then you come to Alabama. I'm down here. This is a true story. Within the first week, almost every one of my neighbors, like I'm looking at them now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different households came here giving us cookies and baked goods and all this stuff, welcoming us to the neighborhood. And it's like,
We're so happy you're here. Like,
what? That's exactly what they're saying. And
nobody in LA wanted that and said that.
Right? I mean, in LA, you don't, this is LA. Like you're walking past me.
Yeah. Oh, hey, what's up?
We lived in an apartment in Santa Monica. I lived in Redondo Beach. I lived in Culver City. And out of all 3 of those places that I lived, I didn't know anyone in our building. And I think you can probably get a guess. I'm a relatively friendly guy,
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone. Like no one talks to each other there. I mean, at least when we moved to Glendale, I became part of the Armenian community. So, that was fun.
Yeah.
I got to meet a lot of Armenians. It was, you might dig this. You look like you listen to metal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
I got to know the guys from System. My next door neighbor was like best friends with them. So I'm like drinking scotch with John, and I'm working out next to Shavo on the elliptical almost every day. It was pretty cool. I got to know those guys. And they are such nice guys. They're really cool. So because of that too, because where I lived in Glendale, and everyone is Armenian. I mean, it'd be like going to Dearborn, as far as Middle Eastern people. I started helping them with, there was a thing, I called it SOS Armenia. And they were being attacked by Turkey and Azerbaijan and all this stuff. So I did a lot of, philanthropical. I did a lot of charity stuff with the folks from there. So that's how I got to know a lot of those Armenian folks, including System. So didn't meet Cher though.
That's great, dude. I like that. I got 2 more questions for you, and we're gonna get out of here.
All right.
Plug all your social medias and everything to be able to get a hold of you and to reach you, like your YouTube channels, all that stuff. And then I got one more question after that.
Okay. Well, my home address and my phone number are. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Michael Wayne Foster. I've got my fan page or whatever it is on Facebook, Michael Wayne Foster. And then my YouTube channel, which I've got one of the things is the America's Pit Stops that I do, where we go around and me and my buddy of mine and I go out and do like the Travel Channel stuff. That's the American Size Travel Guide. That's what I call myself. I actually got that when I was my wife and I did our honeymoon in Europe. Went to Ireland, Italy, Germany, and Amsterdam. And when I was in Italy, I remember reaching out and being able to almost touch both walls. And I was like, whoa, I'm like American sized. Wait a minute. I'm the American Size Travel Guide.
Yeah, that's funny. I thought somebody would tell you, holy shit, you're American sized, dude.
I mean, I literally, when I was in Ireland, I felt like Gulliver. They are the nicest people in the world, but they are not big people.
Really?
Like Irish? Yeah. I like every place you go, like Ireland, imagine like every time you go to the bar, you leave with like 8 new best friends. They are the nicest people in the world. Like if I knew that the ship was sinking and I had to leave, which Spartans don't run and Spartans don't retreat. But if I had to, I'd go to Ireland. Those people are awesome.
Yeah. And we're just drunk having a good time all the time,
So you've been to Ireland.
Right. No, I know some people from Ireland. They actually watch the show.
Yep. Yeah. Well, so kudos to Ireland, man. Love them.
I got one more question for you. If you had one last thing to say to the world, what are you saying?
I believe. If I knew I was going out, I'd want the world to know that I've accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior. And that's where I'm going. I mean, if I'm going out, I'd be like, that's where I'm going.
Yep.
I'm going where that guy is.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you so much for coming on here, man. Your story is great, dude. I love it. Hopefully there's more in the future.
Well, I hope so. And if I can give one last plug, my next 2 projects coming out that have already been filmed. June 3rd, Wolfhound. It's going to be out on DVD and all that on the 12th. And then after that, I did a Hulu movie called My Best Friend's Exorcism. So if you ever saw The Exorcist and Heathers, smash those 2 together. And I play a pretty interesting character in that one too.
It's going to be on Hulu?
It's going to be a Hulu movie, yeah.
It's a movie. It's not a series.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to make sure I watch it. Me and the wife are going to sit down and watch that. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Good luck being a great dad and a great husband, brother. You're going to do it. You're a great guy, man. Thank you. That's it for episode 114.
And right back at you. And real quick, I want to tell you, good luck with your journey.
All right, man. Thank you so much. You empowered me a lot this episode. I'm not going to lie. You empowered me and made me feel more confident about it.
Thanks, brother.
That's always that's why I love this show, dude, because I get empowerment from it. I make a friend. It's great, dude. That's it for episode 114, guys. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and thank you, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
You guys have